Well, we love hearing from you, and many of you send us email questions that you'd like us to answer on the Bring It On segment. So we're going to do that today. This first one, Pat, is from Marlene, who says, our two girls are 8 and 10, and they fight over everything. How do we get them to declare a truce, at least for the summer?
Recognize the fact that these are girls. Teenage girls act that way. They're highly passionate about what they do, and there's a point of time where they don't seem to have any response to reason. They're not rational. They're just highly emotional. They're going through all kinds of hormonal changes, and this is the deal. But at the same time, they really need to know Jesus, and they need to have him as their model. So that's how you're going to get them to stop fighting, is when they come to the Lord, and then you teach them to let Jesus fight their battles for them. But just recognize that they're going through a very difficult phase in their lives, and you can hope by the time they're 15 or 16 they'll get out of it. So buckle up and wear your full coat of armor during the fights.
I think 15 and 16 might be more hormonal than 8 and 10.
Oh, yeah, well, today the hormones start boiling a lot earlier than they used to. But go ahead.
Okay, this is Lorenzo, who says, someone told me that my perception of my dad will color the way I view God. Do you think that's true, Pat?
Yes, it's absolutely true. I mean, he's the only father figure you've got, so you're going to think God's our father. So the answer is yes, it'll color the way you think. So that's why fathers ought to be on guard to be the kind of role model that God wants them to be, and the spiritual leader of the family. That's what they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have more information, by the way, on the fatherhood of God on our website. If you'd like more, you can just go to cbn.com and click on the Bring It On Extra link, and you'll find that there. This is from Don Pat, who says, my wife died 10 months ago after a long illness, and I'm lonely. I would like to date, but my adult daughters are upset about it. Do you have some advice on how I can talk to my daughters, Pat?
You really want me to tell you what you're going to say?
No.
Yeah. I didn't think so.
Be kind instead.
Dear, it's my life. No, you've got to tell them, look.
Well, these are adult kids, for
I've got a life, and I've got to have a life, and I'm still young, and I've got some years ahead of me, and I'm not going to live it in loneliness. And I hope you can get used to the fact, and you can bring them together and love them and say, let's just pray about it, and you pray that I'll be led, and that kind of thing.
That's not really, this isn't really about him. It's really about their loss of their mother. So,
well, they're putting their view on what he's supposed to be, but I understand it. Somebody's 80 years old, and all of a sudden he takes up and he's got a girlfriend, and the children think, what is Dad doing? Has he lost his mind?
Well, even somebody who's 40, 50 years old, after a long struggle with a spouse who has had an illness that's ongoing and terminal, I mean, it's exhausting. And I have a friend whose husband died not too long ago who was ill for quite a while, and she said, I grieved for all those years. It's not like the grieving just starts the day that you lose the spouse.
I saw the wife of one friend who had died, and it's about a year later, and I said, boy, look at you, you look so much younger. And it was like this cloud had been lifted. But they're carrying the burden of a sick spouse, and yes, there's grieving going on, but they deserve a life. And I tell you, the thing you say to those adult daughters is, look, I deserve a life. I've got many more years ahead of me, and I'm not going to live it alone.
Exactly.
So you just have to tell them the way it is. Okay.
This is Lily, who says, my husband is a wonderful provider for our family, but he rarely takes time off to spend with our children. Am I out of place to tell him he's missing it?
Of course you're not out of place to tell him he's missing it. You need to explain. But somehow or other, if there's any possibility you can entice him into something. I'm a great believer in family vacations. I mean, go off to some fun place, some camp or something that's fun, and with the children, and you get him along, and maybe he'll enjoy it.
Maybe he could even enjoy planning it.
Yes, even so.
That'd be good.
As long as it doesn't cost money.
Yeah, we'd like to know what that vacation is when you find it. Okay, this is Bert, who says, I am retired and live alone. Ever since I was a child, I've been afraid of the dark. Do you think leaving lights on at night means I don't trust God?
Bert, it does mean that, but at the same time, there's no reason that you can't sleep with a light on. But you need to be set free from fear, and so you've got to deal with this thing. It's deep-seated, and you need perhaps some professional help to get you free from the fear that you had when you were a child. You may have been frightened, some terrible thing may have happened to you. I don't know what's going on in your past, but you need a professional to help you. But sleeping with the light on, there's nothing wrong with it. Do you mean you don't trust God? Perfect love casts out fear, for fear has torment. And if you're tormented by the dark, things that go bump in the night, then your childhood fears have still captured you, and you need to get free from them. And you need professional help to help you get free.
You know, that's a more common problem than people realize, I think. I know a lot of adult people who sleep with the light on at night.
Because of fear?
Because of fear of the dark,
Well, it's easy when you're a little kid to get scared of the dark.
I was as a child. I'm not now, but I can relate to that fear. It's irrational, but you are overcome by it.
Things that go bump in the night.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Ivy, who says, I saw a TV documentary with some scientists rejecting the idea that God exists. Why don't otherwise intelligent people believe in God?
Read Romans. Professing themselves wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the immortal God into images made like animals, four-footed beasts, and creeping things. There's this incredible arrogance of people who think they're better than God. And so these people want to put themselves above God, professing themselves to be wise. They became fools, and their foolish hearts were darkened. So that's why you've got people who are wandering around in darkness, but they think they're so smart. So why? I mean, that's just the way it is. It's the nature of sinful man, and it's the Bible speaks. Read Romans, the first couple of chapters of Romans.
I think some of it also is because we don't want any kind of responsibility or boundary in our lives to have to respond to a God who has...
But these guys are supposed to be smart, and smart people aren't supposed to believe in anything supernatural. I am a, quote, scientist, and if I can't prove it with scientific theory, then it doesn't exist. Well, there is a supernatural dimension in the universe, and we have to acknowledge it. But they change the glory of God. I mean, they have God. You know, that song, you have to serve somebody.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to serve somebody.
Whether you acknowledge it or not.
So they're going to serve somebody. It may be, quote, science. It may be the, Platonic theory, or it may be their own mind, but it's something that they have created, so they're serving themselves. They have, it comes out of their mind. It's arrogance. It comes all in pride. I am the master of my fate. I'm in charge of my life, and don't tell me there's a God who runs things. I run things. I mean, it's arrogance, pride.
Well, we want to thank you for your email questions. That's all the time we have for today, but we do try to answer some of them each day, and we appreciate your communicating with us.